Ley is a developer and owner-operator of two Workin Oz, established in 2012 to address the skills shortage and recruitment issues surrounding seasonal work in the grain and livestock industry. The business focuses on providing skills and assessing skilled operators to reduce seasonal damage and turnover of staff. Ley is passionate about the industry and takes an active role in promoting it. Please welcome Ley to talk about training and recruitment in a pandemic.
All right, thanks for welcoming me down. We've had a pretty challenging year like everyone else. I think certainly changed our space that we work in this year. And yeah, we're still going and we're looking forward to a positive harvest for everyone. A bit about me, I started sort of using, we were employing people, and then about 14 years ago I sort of started using backpackers to help out on the farm, and came across lots of challenges, positive and negative, and heard lots of challenges, positive and negative, from the ag community. So I was looking to make a change with my farming business. So this is where I ended up, was in a training and recruitment business. I started out just offering training, and I approached some recruitment companies to work with me, and they weren't interested at the time. They said farmers wouldn't pay, they didn't want trained staff, they weren't interested. So I set up the recruitment company as well and worked them together. My background is pretty much agriculture and banking. As a kid, I actually spent quite a bit of time down here playing in water troughs and racing through the trees and around polocrosse fields. And then, school, and went into banking, and then married a farmer. So for us, like what we do, so basically we do hands-on farm skills training. So we run through, it's trying to cover a broad section of training skills, like basic skills, and while they're training, I'm assessing them for their actual suitability to the grain and livestock industry. So obviously not everyone is suited to working in sheep yards or driving tractors or either. So sometimes we have to redirect them to other workforces. It's going to jump ahead of me, isn't it? Where are we? Basically, we'd also work normally. So in a normal year, we would have 50 to 60 skilled farmers coming in. So whether they're from over east, within WA, or international. So we work with a lot of European countries to bring in their professional farmers, and that's something, I suppose, a space that I like working in as well, and I would like to see more of our people go overseas. I think we've lost a bit of that cultural exchange over the last few years. We seem to bring a lot more in than we send out, and it's a good program for our young ones. We run face-to-face practical interviews. So when I have someone who's already in WA, has done some farm, some work, has some experience, then I get them to my property for a face-to-face practical interview. So they must drive a tractor, and some of them laugh at me, and some because I put them on my little green tractor, and some of them, prove that the reason I do it is right, because a CV does not always give you an accurate outcome of what their skills are, and I've had people with some pretty flash CVs not even be able to get that tractor out of the shed, and they've got years and years of tractor experience. So it's just trying to work out on their CV they've got years and years of tractor experience. So it's just trying to work out how people go about their work. Also just picking up on little habits, how they actually drive the machinery, whether they're soft or gentle, or whether they're rip tear, bang bust. It's pretty quick to be seen when they come and do their interview. Then we do the direct job matching. So I see every person on a machine, and then I'm the person that goes and talks to the farmers and does the matching up. And I wish I could get it right 100% of the time, but we do have some fails, and that's human nature. But I think my focus is backing that up and making sure that we if we can't get it right, then we find a solution, find another person, or help you to work through finding another person if we don't have them ourselves. So it's that continual support for you guys as the employers, and also for the workers. So I find a lot of, like, the breakdown is often a lot of communication or just the cultural change and the adjustments. So just trying to, especially the really young ones, like working through making sure that they understand that what's going on is normal, they will be okay, it's not dangerous, it's not unsafe, it's just part of the agricultural industry that they have to work with and speak up about if they're feeling challenged or unsafe. And then, yeah, just positive promotion. I think that was one of the things that I found early. I was really disappointed in how many people were coming in from overseas and then going home with a really negative opinion of Australian farmers. And I think we're worth much more than that, and we can do better than that. So that's my little goal. Basically, this year has seen us, so in February we were fully booked with our training. I had 50 odd people booked to come in from overseas for seeding. And we hit March and it all stopped right there and then. So there was about 30 that didn't get in, that were meant to come, and we had 6 weeks of training that was basically pre-booked that we had to cancel and refund and deal with at that point. So yeah, it was a little bit challenging. I suppose right in March, right there and then, I sort of went, well, we're not going to have people for harvest. So I started to panic right then. Like seeding was already up, going. So we started doing some labour research, labour market testing, finding out from the government what was going to be happening, trying to, questioning what was going to happen at this time of the year if our borders were completely closed. And then, yeah, we went back. We actually got to the point we got some meetings at Alana McTiernan's office. I raised a safety issue for harvest because of the speed and the heat and the size of the machinery. And that sort of got us heard a little bit, but it still didn't have the impact that we wanted to have. We didn't get the results we wanted to have with some border movement. But yeah, we did. I think we still had a bit of impact on getting them talking about more training and working towards upskilling and getting people out into the regions. So we ended up we did labour market testing, we did economic costing. So if you don't have the people you need, what's that going to cost you in losses to grain quality, time, damage to machinery, all that sort of thing. And then we also surveyed the grower groups to see what the demand was for labour. So thank you to Southern Dirt, because you were one of the grower groups that helped us out, and it was really appreciated. Again, we went to lots of industry bodies and we didn't get any support, nobody was listening at that point. So the grower groups, GGA was the first one to sort of say hey, we'll help, and then they helped us get some information out to all of you. So that was really valuable. I think we only ended up with 120 actual responses to the survey, which again, I sort of thought I think that's probably a bit of a challenge with our industry, is that everybody sort of goes quiet when the pressure's on and we need to speak up more, or we get sick of speaking up maybe and we all get tired, and then you sort of just let it go and get on with the job that you've got to do. But yeah, I think we did have an impact that all the surveying and the research we did went into a report that went to federal level, state level, and that was just off our own back. There was no funding, that was just because I wanted to know what was going on, and I wanted to make sure that we had the best opportunity to supply the people that were needed. I suppose I'm probably a little bit passionate about ag, and I get a little bit concerned when because I know that farmers will just go harder, go longer until something goes wrong, and that's not the outcome that I want to see. I'm all for safety, but I'm all for reality as well. And I suppose when they come and do the training, it's not a clinical, perfect training environment. It's very much a it's a small farm, but it's a real farm, and it's we actually take them to look at some other farms that are bigger, like doing their 5,000-6,000 hectare programs. But on our place, you know, they get introduced to what's not safe, what's too old, what's, you know, where there's maintenance needed. The machinery that they're using is as safe as we can make, but there's points where we're making sure that they're well aware that that's, you know, there's an unsafe environment. Be aware, stay back, and it's very practical. So they spend basically half a day doing theory and safety and farm familiarity, and then the other 3 days it's out there on the machines, up and down, getting used to doing as much as we can without a crop to harvest every week, and yeah, without sheep to shear every week and that sort of thing, so they would do as much as they possibly can practically. So I suppose when we got to sort of, was it April, May, we realised like there weren't going to be, like the training side of things for harvest was going to be pretty tough if nobody had any money. So we started sort of approaching people to see what sort of funding there was available. GIWA and Careers in Grain came forward with some funding for 36, they call them scholarships, for 36 trainees to come through. So we actually did that between July and September. We got 36 people through. We had quite a bit of publicity through that time for airline pilots, because we did some airline pilots, and they're great, but there's still good and bad and otherwise, and I think, yeah, there's a lot of other people, that have lots and lots of skills and probably didn't get the recognition at the time. Everything was focused on pilots. So I've still got, this week I've got 3 more pilots coming through. We're just running a short course tomorrow and Thursday. Again, like once the funding ran out, nobody wanted to pay for the full cost of the training, so we've just been pivoting and changing and trying to adapt as we can to give as many people as we can some form of skill and background to go out, and some form of, like me, being able to recognise what their skill level is so that then I can promote them to the farmers. So we really appreciate, we wouldn't have had a season without GIWA. At all. I don't think I probably would have given up and gone off somewhere else by now, but that sort of got us through, and it sort of gave us momentum as well for a few other programs. We actually this year, I'll go back, last year we started, we're talking to the universities about getting them out to do farm skills training, and the first one of those was meant to happen in March, but because of COVID it obviously didn't happen. But we had 6 Murdoch Uni students come in July, and then we had another 4 come later on under this program, and we've had a chat to UWA as well, and they're keen to come on board maybe next year. And then my little pet project is to try and change the timing of our education system so that we can have our ag school students and our uni students, their prac time should be coinciding with our peak periods so that they're available to us like they used to be 20 odd years ago. I think like our ag school students, I've got a son at ag school at the moment, and the amount of time that they actually spend on machinery is pretty dismal compared to what they should be. And when we talk to the Europeans, so like the Danes, most of them, by the time they're 20 years old, they've done hundreds and hundreds of hours, and that's why they come out here, and they are skilled and they're hardworking. They've been through, they don't just do a day's prac or a week's prac here and there, they go and do 6 months full-time farm work on a pretty dismal wage, and they've worked hard and they're taught well, and they get the hours up to be able to come out here and be really skilled. So I would love to see more of our own kids with that opportunity if we can, but that's big dreams, big goals. But all up, we've trained 55 people since June, and I did have the figures up here. Oh, I've got them. So 9 uni students, 6 school leavers last week. I had 6 17-year-old boys at home, plus my own teenagers. It was a nice, challenging week. No, they were really good. 17-year-olds were really, really good. They did themselves proud. So 3 of them are already out to jobs, and the other 3 are still working on it. Just a couple of them a little bit shy of leaving home, but we'll keep working with them. So they just need a little bit more time and reassurance, and they'll all be good operators. They were great kids. We've only had 17 international trainees this year, so normally it would be well and truly the other way around. Normally out of the 55, probably 50 would have been internationals, because they're the ones generally seeking the skills. We've also had an average age of our trainees, other than the 6 school leavers last week. The average age has been about 42, which is normally about 22, so big change in the age. We've had a couple of 69-year-olds, and then, down to sort of 40-year-olds. So, all right, wages. So this is something usually comes up in the questions. I did get into the wages debate a little bit when Alan McTinn was going on about it, and I would never tell a farmer what they need to pay. We have an award system, so you're either on the state award or the federal government award, but at the end of the day it is up to you and your own business to know what your capabilities are. The only thing I can say is that, when you start, I've got look, one example, an Estonian couple, never done a harvest before in their life. He had some tractor experience, she had very little. They did their course and they were okay. He was still, I wasn't raving about him. They've told me that they're getting $40 an hour plus food and accommodation. And I think that really undervalues our skilled staff, our skilled people that are in our industry. And if you're paying a first-year international person that sort of wage, then you need to be paying your permanent long-term staff a heck of a lot more. I don't even know where the roof is for that. So I don't like getting into that wages debate. I leave that up to the farmers. I stick to the awards. If you're a first-year entrant, then you're a level 1 or a level 2, and obviously everyone needs to do their boot testing. If you're paying a flat rate, there's a boot test. There's a lot of industrial relations organisations floating around and HR organisations now that will do your boot test, so better off overall. If you're, during harvest, they're going to be doing sort of 70, sometimes maybe 80 hours a week. You're looking at 30 to 40 hours overtime, and you have to compensate them for that hourly rate. So I think recently I had a HR company tell me their boot tests were taking about 3 hours for them to process, to work out, and they were coming out between $28 and $32. So $28 is sort of the minimum for a level 1 backpacker, unskilled person this year, if you're going to expect them to be doing those 12-hour days, sort of 6 to 7 days a week. So that's something to just have a look at if you haven't done that already. But apart from that, the only reason, I don't want to get into that wages argument too much, but with the boot test, it's actually fair work that you have to be aware of. Like, they're the ones that are going to come back. I've got lots of people that say, oh, no, I'm happy with $25. But if you pay $25 and they're doing all that overtime and you're not compensating them for it, then it's fair work that will come down on you and will fine you, because they're the ones looking into the ag industry, because we've been, we're in the highlight at the moment, in the limelight, with all the wages and safety and all that sort of thing. So just be careful what you offer. There's a lot of first-year backpackers being offered $30. Seems to be about the standard, but I just want to make sure that we look after our long-term permanent staff and our families as well. So that's probably. And then seeding. 2021. So that's where I'm at now. We finished training this week is our last course, so we've just got a short 2-day course, and then I've got to pick myself up a casual job as well for harvest, and then in that I'll be working through what we do for seeding and starting that whole probably political thing again to make sure that we have people or we have training available, because air seeders to me are far more technical and critical than headers. So there's different factors for each season, I suppose. Harvest is dangerous with the heat and the speed, but seeding, yeah, they can do a lot more damage and a lot more critical. So I suppose if anyone has anything that they want us to take forward to government, or to any ideas on how we can have a bigger impact, make sure that we have people with the skills, just having people on the ground to do the job at seeding time, certainly willing to look at that. I suppose, what have I got? Yeah, like we'll be pushing forward with the university program, looking at school leavers coming. So obviously we've got year 12s that have just finished the general courses, but the ATAR kids that want to take a gap year, we'll be looking into what we can do for them in the new year to try and get them into ag. And then also like exemptions for our skilled labour. I know like I've got quite a few overseas that because they've missed out on harvest, they would still come in February, March to do seeding and then stay for harvest next year. So in that, if we can get internationals in. WA we have a very good quarantine process. There's a lot of farmers that, you know, $2,500 for quarantine is nothing if someone bends an air seeder bar or breaks a draw bar or whatever. So, you know, if there's ability to get some of those skilled farmers in, we've got our ag school students coming out, but I think most of those are snapped up pretty quick and ready to go on with training. But certainly, yeah, we'll be working forward with that. Keep me busy. And that's just us. So, yeah, if you want to get in touch, certainly, I think our demand, so in August, I had 120 jobs on my list. By early August, I normally wouldn't get to that point until probably mid-September. So everyone was early this year, and that to me is a little bit of a worry as we hit harvest in November. I know there's a lot of unskilled people heading out there, so obviously I think everyone needs to just slow down a bit, take care, be patient with your new staff, and if you need any help or advice or backup or anything, like I'm happy to do what I can. If they just need some reassurance or some backup, let us know. But we've flipped around, gone through again. All right. That's probably about all I've got.
Questions?
Has anyone got some questions? Is there anyone in here that I've spoken to or sent staff to previously? I know Craig. There's a lot of people. I do farm visits. Try and do at least one a year. I do a tour, but I haven't actually been. I've been sort of down Albany, come through here, Noangra, but I haven't been through the Kojonup sort of road. So no one else, just Craig. There you go.
Do you offer training, or if you've got unskilled workers coming this harvest,
Yep.
we send them to you and do a 2-day course out of.
Yes, I've actually got one girl coming tomorrow. She's a farmer's daughter, and she just a bit scared. She doesn't want to stress her brother out too much, so she's coming. I think she's done about 6 to 8 years of chaser bin, but he's never let her on the header. Now he's going to let her on the header, so she's coming to do a 2-day. Or actually, she's coming for 1 day to do the header. So certainly, like we usually have a few like farmers that'll. I'm just not sure like this year. Like I'm not sure. If I got the numbers, I'd be able to do it. Just have to be. I've actually committed to do some work from the 1st of November. So I thought I'd be sort of out of a job by then. But yeah.
Thanks very much for the presentation. Obviously the youth unemployment has been hit pretty hard through the pandemic through traditional retail and food service industries. How do we sort of use this as, you know, has there been more interest from the youth out there, and how do we sort of keep that momentum in the industry and use this to our advantage?
Well, we, with our GEWA funding, we had a, what do you call it, like a coverage in Perth. We had 228,000 hits on our Facebook page. That's our spread, our, what do you call it? Reach, that's the word I was looking for, thank you. We had, yes, 228,000 in WA alone, and our average age was 42. If you can find the 18 to 40-year-olds that are unemployed and want to come and work in ag, I will do whatever it takes to get them out there. But I'm not seeing them. I'm just not seeing them. I don't know where they are. So I don't know what else we do. Like, you know, the government has spent, I would hate to think what they have spent on their jobs in food and ag, and their work and wonder campaigns and all that sort of thing. And, you know, like I'm a little bit critical of some of the stuff that they've done, but they're trying, everyone's reacting, everyone's trying to do what they can. But if you can tell me where that age group is, yeah, we'll take them. I'm not sure where they've gone.
Fairly simple where they are. They're on job seekers, sitting on the lounge watching their iPad.
Yeah, yeah.
So you'll take on green city kids if they.
Well,
if
the 6 17-year-olds, only one of them was from a two were from a regional area, but I'd only count one as being regional.
Yeah, I get this. In my experience, it's always been that thing of they want to get into ag, but they don't know where to start. And hats off to you for what you've done. And you know, it's always that thing. Either they, you know, country kids go to uni school or something like that, or they have to go to ag school for 3 years.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of them just want to do a short course, just so they've got some sort of skill level.
Yeah. So we did what we did last week with the school leavers. That was sort of basically subsidised by me, so that it didn't cost them as much. And we offered 2 weeks of training, so there was 12 positions, and we filled 1 week. We got 6 out of 12 opportunities we only, and that went to Metro North, Metro South, regional education, and went out on Connect. They all, I don't know how many thousands of kids got that notice that there was training available. So we might need longer lead times, but yeah, absolutely. We've got all I suppose the good thing out of all this is I've made so many new connections that now, you know, like we tried the university thing. I did the school thing years ago. I went to lots of Perth Metro schools that ran an ag program and told them what we did and tried to get them out, and never ever got one, not even one person came out. There was lots of negative sort of feeling from parents more than anything. So yeah, I think this has sort of opened up lots of opportunities to get
Just another
around.
quick question. How are you, I guess, you know, advertising to farmers? Is it more just a word of mouth thing? Or?
I actually don't advertise to farmers. I come and do this every so often. I have an ad in the Farm Weekly every week, a small ad, and that's really it. Like social media, word of mouth is, where we... So I think, because, generally the demand from the industry is far greater than what I can actually supply. So I do have that dilemma of like, okay, this is a really good person, where do they go? And it's not a first in, first dressed sort of system. It's more of like, who's going to match. I look at personalities as a lot of the time and all that sort of thing, and try and match people up personality wise, because that's usually more successful. You can have the most skilled person, but if they don't get on with you personality wise, then it's a fail. So yeah.
Interesting, the Banny are standing by. They manage 600 or 700 a year.
Yeah.
So should you be asking them the model they use, or having been tangled up with them years ago, they do very well to get people in for harvest.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I don't know. I was probably somewhere I need to go. On the site, like from my point of view, like personally, I'm a sole parent. I've got a small farm property, and I run a business. So at the moment, scale for me is probably a bit of a challenge. But that's something as my children get older and come back, hopefully that'll help a bit more. There's lots of opportunities to upscale it. But
you would think they're interested.
I don't want to lose quality.
Because it's in their interest
Yep.
to get the harvesting quicker,
Yes.
which is the link.
Yep.
So,
I think what we do, like on farm, you don't have so that company, they have a lot of people on the ground to cover each other, whereas individual farms, you just don't have. It's like that's corporate, that's mining size. I don't know. It's all possible, but I think on an individual farm basis, it's making sure that I get the right person for your farm. And if I upscale too much, then you lose that connection with each person, you lose the quality of the placement. So it's just, if I can find someone else that's got the same goals as me, then, it's finding the right people. I have a couple of really good trainers that, I'll hang on to as long as I can. And they're probably people that could help me to upscale in time. But it's CBH actually approached me to do some of their training, and I was like, I can't do that. But that was a few years ago. But
So Lee, you thought about changing the funding payment model, so having where individual growers directly subsidise or offer their own little internal scholarships through your system?
Yeah, so from my funding side of things, so trainees pay for some of their training, and farmers pay a placement fee. So farmers are already subsidising that training to some extent when I do a placement. Obviously, everyone tells me there's always room to charge more, but and that was all working really well until COVID came, because the international ones that come in that are skilled, or the ones that come in that have already got skills and do that practical interview, obviously they don't pay anything for training, so I get a placement fee for them, and that sort of subsidised. It all works in together to make us successful. So maybe industry does need to. Someone did suggest that.
It's just when you said the numbers dropped off when the GWA scholarships stopped.
Yep, definitely.
So the individuals picking up that.
The internationals are definitely willing to pay, but we don't have them here, enough of them here. So it's the locals, and we've got Muresk and TAFE offering free training. And so that was a bit of a competitive thing, came in late. I suppose they were negotiating that something. I had talked to Prue at Muresk for years. I've been talking to her about how they needed to do more practical training with their students. Didn't really expect them to mirror what I was doing, but anyway, that's all good. That's healthy competition, and we need more people. So that's probably maybe where that upscaling thing. On a side point, I am not an RTO. And the training they do is not accredited, and I've chosen not to go down that path because the red tape and all the stuff that goes into offering accreditations and being an RTO, even running a non-accredited training, just adds huge cost to it all, and I don't think it improves the outcomes. I've seen some people come through with reams of certificates, and it's just a little bit scary, so especially that mining industry. But so that's the other. It's about making sure if we're not getting it right, if I'm not getting 90% successful placements, then I'm doing something wrong, and I need to adjust and make some changes. And I don't think accreditation achieves that.
Any other questions? No? Having run an RTO or 2 or 3 myself, I understand that, and I actually believe our system's a little bit broken because we put compliance before quality.
Yes,
and I hate that.
before competency. Yeah.
So I'd just like to thank you, Lee, for coming along today and talking about this for us.
Oh, thank you.